Be rid of all of this propaganda because it doesn't mean anything. Okay? Because fear's intention is to make you afraid. And once you're afraid, it implies that you're intimidated. And if you're intimidated, there's no movement with you. See, fear's intention is to be afraid because fear wants you to become afraid because fear itself is afraid. And if the entity of fear, if the entity of fear can make you afraid, then that makes fear feel secure. You know that whole saying that there's nothing to fear but fear itself? Absolutely not. That's a lie. That's a lie. Because when Yeshua was in the Garden of Gethsemane, he was dealing with fear. At first, he didn't know what he was dealing with until God let him know. It's not mentioned in the Bible, but it is implied. And when you're on your way to do something right, something that you want to accomplish, and when you're faced with fear's intention is to divert you from what you are put on the earth to do. And so once you get past fear and your understanding of fear, you're like, oh, okay. You understand fear, that fear wants to make you afraid. I mean, it's the same as two boxers standing in front of one another in the ring. The whole stare down is because they're both afraid. And the edge that they're trying to get from one another. With the fear factor, that whole stare down is if I make my opponent afraid, then I'll have the advantage of him. And that makes them feel secure. This is why I say, fear's intention is to make you afraid. And a lot of you are walking around here afraid right now. And your brother is telling you, fear's intention is to make you afraid. Don't let the results of this election cause you to lose focus on what you know you need to do with your life. Don't allow it. Because fear wants you to be afraid, because fear itself is insecure. When I was coming up in Chicago, there was a park. It was called Thule Park. It was on Martin Luther King Drive. I believe it was 89th and Martin Luther King's Drive. We had two major parks in my neighborhood. It was one on 85th Street. It was called Nat King Cole Park. Well, it was called Cole Park. But the reason why that name, the last name Cole Park, was utilized is because it was a park dedicated to the late singer Nat King Cole. Rest in peace, big bro. But Cole Park didn't have a swimming pool for us in the summertime. So there was another park on the same street, Martin Luther King Drive, if you go a little bit further up. I believe it was, because see, Nat King Cole Park was on 85th Street. Thule Park was on 89th Street. And Thule Park was this, it was another park, but it had a huge building to where you could go inside and you can have different events and meetings. And it was also a place where we would go to practice our martial arts. You know, from high school, because I was also on the martial arts team when I was in high school. However, you can go up there and play tennis. You know, you can do a lot of various things up there. Thule Park had a huge swimming pool. So a lot of us in the summertime, we would go up there to swim a whole lot. I know my sister BB and my aunt Yvette used to go up there a whole lot. And what I had noticed is that they started taking my aunt Shanetta up there, who we used to call Deanie, to take her up there. I noticed that my uncles would go up there, my Uncle Keith and Kevin. And so what my sister and my Uncle Kevin noticed about me is that I was so much into martial arts and boxing and everything. I recall one time my sister came up to me. She said, "D.A., you don't want," they used to call me D.A. for David Anthony. She said, "Why don't you come up, go swimming with us at Thule Park?" And I told my sister, "I don't know how to swim. You know, I was never taught how to swim." And so obviously my Uncle Kevin heard that after she had left with everyone. And so the time after that, he had approached me and he said, "D.A., you gonna go swimming with us?" And I told him, "I don't know how to swim." And so my Uncle Kevin, he said, "Just come anyway." And so he gave me some swimming trunks to wear. And so when we got up there at the swimming pool, I was mistakenly on the side where it was 6 feet. And that was for people who were much taller and obviously people who knew how to swim. And I'm standing there looking down at the water. And I felt so misplaced. I was out of my realm, you might as well say. Because I'm a martial artist, I'm not a swimmer. And so I'm standing there staring down at the water, and I was almost in this borderline trance. And all of a sudden, I see to my right this real tall silhouette, shadow. And all of a sudden, I heard my Uncle Kevin tell me, "So you're gonna get in? You're gonna get in the water?" And as I was looking down at the water, I said, "Uncle Kevin, I don't know how to swim." And he said, "Yes, you do." And so he said, "Come with me." Now I'm figuring he's getting ready to teach me how to swim in the normal sense. You know, he's going to give me lessons on what to do. I didn't pay enough attention to his words when he said, "Yes, you do." So he took me from the 6 feet area to the 4 feet area because it went all the way down to 3 feet. Now, I'm trying to remember how old I was. I believe I was like 9 or 10. I was between 9 and 11 years old when this happened. And so we got down to the 4 feet area. And I'm thinking he's going to instruct me to get in the water and do all of that. And all of a sudden, he said, "You do know how to swim. You just have to remember how." And I'm like, what is he talking about? All of a sudden, my Uncle Kevin grabbed me by the back of the shorts and on my chest, and he picked me up and he threw me in the water, 4 feet of water. And I was panicking and I started sinking. And as I was sinking, suddenly I started kicking my legs and doing like that. And as I was looking up through the water, I saw that my Uncle Kevin was still standing there. And he was looking down at me and he wasn't moving. Now in my mind, I'm saying, why is he doing this to me? He knows that I can't swim. How come he's not doing anything? That's the panicking. The panicking. You know? And I overheard him say, I was looking up at him. He said, come to the top. Suddenly, instinct started kicking in. And I started calming down. And the more I calmed down, I'm noticing my body, my legs and everything. And I started doing like that. And I came to the top. And I'm standing up there yelling at him, why did you throw me in the pool? Why did you throw me in the pool? I'm still not paying close enough attention to what my organism, what my body is actually doing. Now he's standing there, watching me. He said, how did you get up here? I said, get me out, get me out. He said, get yourself out. And he stood back to imply I'm not going to help you get out this pool. So I said, I can't get out. He said, yes, you can. He said, come to the ledge. And so I came to the ledge. He said, put your hands up here. And so I put my hands up. I'm still not paying attention. I said, get me out. Get me out. He said, DA, get yourself out. I'm saying, how am I going to do that? He said, put your right leg up and pull yourself out this pool. So I put my leg up on the edge. And he said, now, push down and push your body up and get yourself out. Everything he was telling me to do myself. I get out the pool. I'm shooken up. He gets in front of me and I'm going off on him. You threw me in the pool. I'm gonna tell my mama and everything. He said, look at me. And I'm talking, he shook me a little bit. He said, look at me. And I stopped and I looked at him. He said, how did you get here? And I got kind of confused. He said, tell me how you got here. He said, tell me how you got from the bottom of this pool to where you're standing right now. Tell me how you did that. And I couldn't tell him. He said, DA, tell me how you got here. I said, I swam. He said, right. He said, I told you, you knew how to swim. And I'm like, I was confused. He said, you was born in water. He said, when you was inside my sister's belly, he said, you were in water. He said, you always knew how to swim. He said, you want to know what was stopping you from jumping in the pool and remembering that you already knew how to swim? I said, what's that? He said, you were afraid. You were afraid. So the whole thing is, fear's intention is to make you afraid. And as long as you're afraid and you're intimidated by way of the circumstances of what might happen, you will never be able to self-motivate yourself to go any further. See, to overcome fear is the challenge of self. It's not what you are afraid of. It's you have to understand fear itself and its intention. I didn't understand that until my uncle showed me. He threw me in that pool because he saw that fear had me afraid and the circumstances had me intimidated. And he didn't want his nephew to continue to be made afraid by way of fear. You see the circumstance back here? This is what that propaganda machine of the Kamala Harris and Biden administration, this is how they have all of you thinking that this is going to transpire with your lives. It's not so. All you have to do is just move forward. Don't be afraid. Understand the reason why fear wants you to be afraid, because fear itself is afraid. And the only way that fear can be made to feel secure within itself, it has to make you afraid. As my previous video had explained, that's what the stare down is. Your natural instinct is love, it's not hate. It's love, it's not hate. There are people around here, including people who I grew up with, think that they hate me today simply because I wanted Trump to win. Because I work in this economy. I'm in the stock market. I'm trying to put books out. I need people to be in a good position to where when I put my books out, they're able to afford my books. I've done tremendously well in the stock market, and I want my bank account to continue to increase so that my living situation will become a whole lot more pleasant to live. And that way I'll be able to leave behind a lot for both of my sons, and if I just so happen to have another child. Don't you want to live free? Or do you want to live in fear? Is that what you want? Fear's intention is to make you afraid. Do you want to be afraid? Or do you really want to face fear itself and understand fear and its intention? And when you understand fear and its intention, it no longer has the effect on your life, and you're able to move forward. I mean, it's just like one of your family members coming in. You know how they have these pranks, you know, people in the parking lot. And you know Freddy Krueger, Michael Myers, and all of these horror characters, you know, these people are not real. I understand the possibility of someone wanting those type of characters to be their reality. I get it. But when it comes to your own home and one of your loved ones come at you with one of the masks on, why are you screaming like it's real when you know it's not? You're screaming, you know, ah! And they're laughing because they made you afraid. Now, the very next day, are they able to do that same thing? Even with a different mask, they're not able to do that. You want to know why? Because you know not only who this is, but you know their intention is to make you react in a certain way and therefore make you afraid, because they want to amuse themselves by way of your reaction. See, fear, Sir Jiddu Krishnamurti has said, he said, fear is an idea and is brought about by an abstraction. Abstraction, an illusion, an idea of what could happen to you. That's what fear is. It's an idea and is brought about by an abstraction. See, people paint a picture. This is what could happen to you, or this is what's gonna happen to you. They paint this picture in your mind. And when they tap into your imagination, and your imagination is cultivated by the accumulation of knowledge that you've picked up from horror movies or things that you would hate to happen to yourself. And they're painting this picture inside your mind that this is going to happen to you, or this could happen to you if you do thus or so, or if you don't do thus or so, this could happen to you. And then when something transpires that displeases the person who painted the picture for you, and the picture that you believe makes you displeased, you react illogically. And you become afraid and you freak out and you lose your mind. You lose all of your logical sense. And you become afraid. And simply because you become afraid, you start attacking people. You start becoming angry at people because of what they supported, and you fail to understand how come you are not concerned about what I'm concerned about. Because I'm not concerned about images, because I have my own personal reality that I know that I'm going to accomplish. And I know when someone is trying to paint this image in my mind to where they want this image to intimidate me to the degree to where I no longer can properly motivate myself to do what I know I need to do as a human being. This is not going to happen for me. I don't know about you, but I know enough about you to know that that's not going to happen for you either. The whole thing is, stop allowing people to utilize fear for the sake of making you afraid. Move forward. Understand fear and its intention, because you already had a man that taught you that. And I explained it clearly that Yeshua, the only way that he was able to fulfill his destiny on the planet, he had to face fear. Lord, if it's possible, could you pass this cup from me? The Creator said, no. You must face fear, because this is the only way that you are going to be able to move forward and fulfill what I put you on this earth to do. What makes you think you're anything different from him? And your in his destiny on earth and your destiny on earth. Don't allow these people to make you afraid. It's a lot of writers out there. There's a lot of people out there who have plans, who have been made to think that those plans are pointless now. I'm telling you to continue to move forward and do what you were put on this earth to do. Fear, its intention is to make you quit and to make you afraid that you may go no further. It's your instinct. You were put on this planet to be great. And don't allow fear to prevent you from being great.